Okay, so we're going to go over the first part of the lab you have for this week, right? So you have to create a data set with a file that represents a stack of paper surveys, right? So I'm going to share my screen here. In your iLearn page, you will have these surveys for data entry lab. Okay, you will click on there, and it will take you to these surveys. Okay? So the first thing you need to do is, like we discussed, order them, number them, right? That's already done for you. The second part, second thing you need to do is create your own spreadsheet to create a data set, right? So you go to your drive, right? And then you would go to create a new, and then a new Google Sheet. All right, it's a brand new Google Sheet. You would create a, you will name it, let's say lab number 2, right? And we would start. This worksheet is going to be the data. So let's put that, let's name it data. We're going to need another worksheet that is called the codebook. And we're going to need another sheet that is called validation. All right. So here are the surveys. Let's look at question by question. For this one, we would have, so during the past 12 months, how many times have you seen an academic advisor? 1 in 1 appointment, right? Number of times, okay, that's an open-ended. In the past 12 months, did you try to get an appointment to see an academic advisor? That's a closed-ended, no, yes. The academic advising office is able to accommodate appointments within 2 days of the call. That's a Likert scale. Do you have an academic plan stating the courses you will take in the next 2 years? Yes or no? Gender, GPA, are you a transfer student? Yes or no? What's your major? Your standing. And then you have a check all that apply. Now, for these all check that apply questions, they can be tricky because you have all these options. Some people will not choose any of them. Some people choose 1, some people will choose 2, and so forth. So these check all that apply questions actually have to become, they cannot be just one variable, right? Because each of these is a variable, right? So for question 9, you're going to have to create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 type of variables. These are variables that will let you know if the respondent actually checked on undergraduate advising or not. Another variable for whether the respondent checked on ASAP tutorial or not. Another variable that lets you know if the respondent checked the library or not. All right, so the first variable would be number, right? Always. And the second variable would be how many appointments have you had? And so we can call it, let's say, appointments. Right. The third variable was, did you try to get an appointment? Right, and so forth. So we're creating the variables for each. Now, when we get to that, question, this one is a close end. When we get to this one, we're going to have to create a variable for each of these options. And it will look something like this. We are here at standing, right? In 8. The next one is, let us know which one you used within the past 12 months, right? From this. Now, each of them, as we said, has to be a variable, a separate variable. So this is the way we would do it. So this is question 9.1, advising, right? And we would check a yes or no if they use advising. Yes or no if they used ASAP. Yes or no if they use the library. Yes or no if they use the Center for Student Success. Yes or no if they use the pool. Yes or no if they use the gym. Yes or no the dining hall or commons. And yes or no if they used extramural activities, right? So these are all the variables. In the code book, you would put the description for all of them, right? All the variables here, so it has a plan. You have all the variables there. Now you just need to write the labels. So this is the respondent GPA. That's an open. Respondent's gender. This one takes the value male, female, other, transfer, and what are the values on that one? I don't remember. This one is yes or no. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Students standing, and this is yeah, etc. Now for this, for the last question, right? For whether the student used advising, then student used advising during past 12 months. Yes or no? This is not a missing one, because a no is that they didn't check it, right? So you can see that this little variable that was check all that apply has become actually 9 variables, right? So it is this check all that apply questions. They can be good, but they can also be tedious when we're when we're making a data set. Even in that Google Forms example that I gave you, Google Forms translated into some very weird variable where they just packed all the responses into one. And that was pretty hard to unpack, right? That was actually pretty hard to analyze. And that's the thing that I don't like about Google Forms, is that for those types of questions, it should translate into each option should translate into a separate variable. But Google Forms has that flaw. Hopefully they'll fix it at some point. But anyway, when you're doing your own data set, you will divide this check all that apply into different variables. Okay, so this is what you will do. Now, to start putting in the data, then before you do it, we're going to do some data validation, right? So the number is an open-ended. The appointments is a number, it's an open-ended. Whether they try an appointment, that is a yes or no. Okay, so that one we can validate. There's quite a few yes or no questions here, right? So we can use the same validation for all of those questions. But so let's go to the data. And we know we're going to have 21 respondents, right? So we can select all that range and data validation, C2 to C22, list from a range. Where is that range? Is this in this data validation page? Yes, no, or missing. Okay, and we want to reject any wrong input into those variables. So save, and we're done. So now this is a yes or no, or missing. It won't take any other variable. But there's others, right, that are yeses or nos. Like, for example, this one. Do you have an academic plan? So the variable has plan. That's a yes or no. So we can use that same validation there. So this has plan. Let's do the same thing. Data validation. What do they check? All right. So has plan is a yes or no. Now, oh, transfer is also a yes or no. So one thing that we can do is also, because these cells are validated, right? And if you copy those cells, right? If you copy that here, and in a Mac to paste, you use Command V, right? If you're using a PC, you will use Control V, right? These like the V of victory. And it will copy the validation there. So this is also yes or no, missing, right? Now for these little questions that we kept like, for whether they checked or not, that they use advising or ASAP, that those are also yes or no, right? Or check or no check. We can validate them with a yes or no, or we can use a different one just to remember that right? These are the only two values that they can take. Right? So if we wanted to validate that, we can actually select the whole thing. All of these are only going to take the values whether checked or no check. And we can go to data validation, check or no check, and okay. Reject any bad input. Now we're almost ready. What else can we do? Let's see if there are others that are closed-ended. There is this Likert scale, and we have the gender here. Oh, and the standing. So let's do the, which one is it? Is it within 2 days? Okay. Appointment in 2 days. Okay, let's go to the validation. And here we would say strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree, and missing. So this is respondent's opinion, data validation. Give me the list. And that's done. Let's go ahead and do that for gender as well. That's it. I think we're missing this standing one, but I'll let you do that one. So now that we're ready, it should go smoothly, right? If we go to the first survey, during the past 12 months, how many times have you seen an advisor? So this is the first survey. How many appointments? They had 2 appointments. Now, did you try an appointment? Yes. Yes. Do you think you can get an appointment within 2 days? Disagree. Do you have an academic plan? No. Right. What is your GPA? 2.7, and it's a male. 2.7. It's a male. Is it a transfer student? Yes. Criminal justice major. The standing is junior. Now, we didn't validate that. We should have, but I'm just going to say that. And then for these ones, which ones were checked? Let's see. Okay, so he checked everything except the swimming, the gym, and the dining commons. So when we go back here, all of these were checked except for the pool. There was no check. The gym was no check, and the dining was no check, but the activities were a check. And that's it. That's the first respondent, right? That's the whole survey there in the variables. So you just have to do the other 20.